Hey, what's up, you guys? Today we're gonna be working on the Toyota pickup, and we're gonna be installing these. This is what we were gonna run on the Trailblazer when we were doing the sound system, but they were sitting a little higher because of the way the battery setup was gonna be. So we decided to remove them and get some different ones. These are from GP. They're pretty heavy duty. I really like these. I like it more than the other ones that are on there right now. So this is the positive, it has a P, and this is the ground. The only difference is the here where it sits on the posts. So we're gonna be installing this, and then this is junkyard score. Not really a score because there's a lot of it out there. This comes from the Chrysler, the newer Chrysler vehicles. It's a 2-gauge welding wire. So we got a lot of this because this is what we were gonna do the sound system on the Trailblazer before we got the 0-gauge, but then we just decided to go with the 0-gauge OFC. And then we're gonna be using this to crimp the lugs. These are the lugs that we got for it. And yeah, so the reason we're doing all this is gonna be like a big 5 upgrade, I think, the last time I counted. It's because I'll show you right now. Let's go over to the truck. So here on the battery for the ground, it only has this little ground from here to here, and it's all falling apart. The paint wasn't removed from the from the body, and that's the only ground it actually has, and it's all loose. So that's gonna come off. And then for power, it has this setup. I guess the cable's tore up or something, but this cable goes to the fuse box right here, and then this other cable goes to the starter. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do ground to body, ground to chassis, ground all the way to the alternator, which is on that side, and then power to alternator. So that's already 4. And then we're gonna have to do, well, we're just gonna add a lug to the fuse box, and we will be running a 2-gauge also from the battery to the starter down there. So that's gonna complete all our connections. We are gonna sand it down, and what else? I think that's it. It's kind of having a hard start issue when it's cold, but we want to start right here because it's just this ground. So let me get to removing all this and then putting the new terminal post on here, so we have to put them on to measure the cable that we're going to be running. We're going to leave it a little loose because, like I told you guys, this battery isn't from here, so whenever we get the other battery, it's going to sit a little higher, so we have to leave enough cable for that. Let me put you guys on the time lapse. Okay, so this is the connection for the fuse box, and this for the starter. So we're going to be using the Sky High heat shrink, and we did have to drill out these holes a little bit bigger. So it's gonna go here. I'm just gonna cut maybe about a foot off of this, or less than that. So you can bolt it to this bolt right here. So let me cut it and put the copper lug, and then I'll put you guys back on. This is the connection that we did for the body. This is the original connection. I think this is like tin copper or something. It looks goldish right there. I just got a little piece of sandpaper, and we will be removing this bolt, and we're gonna get it down to bare metal. It's a coat of clear coat. Alright, so since we bolted up already, we're gonna throw some primer. Some clear coat, just a little bit to protect it from rust. And that's it for that first connection. So we're gonna put the bolt right here. Put this bolt real quick, and then we're gonna slide the battery over because I don't think we're gonna use any of the posts on that side. So this one's gonna go in here. It's gonna bolt onto that first one. We ended up moving it to the last one down here just because it was kind of a tight fit right here for it to like turn. So it's kind of tucked away. And now we're gonna work on the chassis ground, which is gonna go from here. There's some bolts down there on the frame that hold the brake lines in place. So we're thinking of using that because we don't want to drill any new holes on the chassis. And also we would have to use the self-tapping screw, and those should have threads on the chassis already. So I think we're just going to stick with one of those. So first, let me put the heat shrink on whatever's going to go on here. And then we're going to toss it down through here, figure out a way to route it neatly, and then connect it down there. And it's all going to be red. We're just going to use the heat shrink to distinguish it, because we don't have any of the Tex Flex to cover them, but it's fine. I mean, ground is going to be on this side, positive on this side. We also have to find a lug that fits over this. This might even work, to be honest, but it'll be nicer to put a cleaner one and some heat shrink. Let's do that ground. So we're gonna go underneath the passenger side. And then we're gonna be using this bolt right here. Seems like a pretty good spot. It's tucked away, so I'm gonna pull on the cable and keep the wire through here. Be a straight shot from the battery all the way down here, and I'm just pulling it down so we can measure and cut the wire down here instead of doing it by guessing. I'm gonna leave a little extra. It's gonna be like right there. And while we're down here, we're also gonna do a starter wire. So we're gonna be removing this wire. We're gonna connect the positive to the battery, and then we're gonna route it down same way as this original one, and then we're just gonna put a new copper lug once we have the measurement. But let me finish this one first and make sure it's routed nicely. So up here, and go through here. Yeah, cool. We're gonna use our Harbor Freight wire cutters. So whatever I see here, I'm gonna give it about 2 inches, and then so we can have some room to work with. Cut it right about here. Better for it to be a little longer than to be too short. Then we're gonna have to redo another connection. Okay, so we pulled up the starter cable. It's this one right here, and I had this on the starter end. And this was holding 2 cables together. So what we're gonna do is this was up on the battery, and this was to the starter. We're gonna connect this one to the battery, and then guide the cable down to the starter and cut it. Same thing we did to the frame. So let me get that done, and I'll put you guys back on. There's just not a lot of room to show you guys with the camera, but I'll try to get as many clips as I can while I'm down there. Okay, so we have 3 cables down so far. Ground to body, ground to chassis, and we have the power to the starter, which is this one. So it's facing straight. It's kind of dirty right now. It's facing straight back, and then underneath we use that little plastic that was holding onto this cable, and we use the same cover, so it's on here. We had to drill out the hole a little bit as well, and we have the ground to chassis right here with some clear coat on it. So we just need to do one more cable up top, and we're gonna do some zip ties to keep everything nice and in place. So next we're gonna work on this cable that goes to the fuse box. Okay, so for the passenger side we're done. for the fuse box. I just used the same connector, cleaned it up with the wire wheel, and put some heat shrink. So that's on this post. So now we're done with this side. We're gonna put the wheel and take it down, and then we're gonna work on the alternator. So it's gonna have 2 runs to the alternator, one for the positive side and one for the alternator bracket right here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna leave this connector on here. Shit, yeah, I'm hoping that we're still able to use this stud. And we're gonna use the bolt from up here from the alternator bracket. So we're gonna, I think, guide these cables through here all the way across. So let me get to work on that real quick, and we're gonna take the truck down. All right, so we're all done. Quick little rundown. We have ground to the body. This ground goes all the way to the chassis down there, and this ground goes to the alternator, which I'll show you in a bit. This positive goes to the alternator as well. This positive goes to the starter, and this positive goes to the fuse box. And we're gonna have to figure out some spacers for this battery for now. It's kind of just, this piece is just floating in here. So for these 2 cables to the alternator, they run back here, and then we just kind of try to tuck it as much as possible, but it's kind of tight right here. So that's why you kind of see this bolt piece right here. We might put some more zip ties right there, and then behind this, just route it all around here. Might need a zip tie or something right there, and then they go here, and the ground goes straight to the alternator casing, and then the positive goes to the alternator, and the stock positive is still on here. Then just the rubber boot. So let's try to turn it on, see if all of this works. Oh, and by the way, the stock alternator cable has this little fuse right here. We didn't put one on the lead to the battery, but that's fine. I don't think it's gonna cause any issues. So I'm just gonna cut the zip tie and then we'll turn it on. Okay, now see if it turns on. Everything is working like it should. So we're gonna leave those posts on there, and if we do run a sound system, we already have everything we need. We would just need to run a positive lead into the cab to run our amps and stuff, and possibly upgrade the alternator, because these alternators are really low on amperage, so we might upgrade that. And yeah, that's basically it for this video. If you find this video helpful, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Follow us on Instagram at @Yonke_OXito. I'll leave that in the description down below, and we'll catch you on the next one.